What an inverse year to year. Georgia in 2023 against Ole Miss, dominating the line of scrimmage, doing everything it wanted to on offense. Ole Miss couldn't keep up. This year, not quite as many yards and points, but Ole Miss still put up nearly 400 yards on Georgia's defense, Brent, and passed in a way that we don't see Georgia get passed on really hardly ever. And Jackson Dart was virtually perfect, even with an ankle that would be heavily taped up. Without the best receiver on the team, which Lane Kiffin says Trey Harris is the best receiver in the country, without their most productive running back, Ole Miss, even with a drive that will show a little bit of a backup quarterback in here too, dominated Georgia's defense.
Yeah, and the score actually should have been a lot worse. I mean, how many field goals did they kick? At least 3, maybe 4. I can't remember now exactly. But like they actually kind of, if they would have kept throwing in the red zone some more so than they did, then yeah, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4, 5. But yeah, it could have been a lot worse. And there was one. Well, let's get to the good. Let's start with the good, which is what you're about to show there, because the good was the first drive.
We'll go chronological order. By this play, if I remember right, on the previous play is when Dart hurt the ankle, and so he's gimpy here, but he's trying to like play through whatever it is. That's my recollection.
I ain't gonna lie, it looked like his pride was more hurt than his ankle.
Yeah. Dayne Jackson gets the pick here.
Well, so this is a theme that and this is one where it's interesting how they thought to attack Ole Miss. You see a lot of 5-man pressures in this game with maybe a quarters look or even sometimes man behind it. And here you just whip the right guard. Jalen Walker whips the right guard, and you get the overthrow in the pick. And I think if he goes to the outside to the right, he might score, by the way. But like, you can't feel any better than you did at this point, especially you get the touchdown shortly thereafter. But again, 5-man pressures with, some type of quarters look or at least 2 deep zone behind. But we're going to see some situations where they went man and they brought 5-man pressures, and it kind of cost them. Here, it didn't.
Sometimes in upsets, though, Brent, it just feels like some things are just going the way of one team. On the offensive side for Georgia, it's when you have Dylan Bell with a reverse and Monroe Freeling twist his ankle at just the worst time. A play that I don't know if it would have been a touchdown, but it would have been a bigger play than it was. That's just something that happened to go in Ole Miss's direction in that case. This definitely falls into that category. Darts getting his ankle taped up in the locker room. Simmons comes on the backup quarterback, which you and I both are very impressed with this guy.
This sucker is, man, I thought they should have kept him on the field. Like, he legit, very legit. Anyway,
ball gets tipped here.
Yeah, this is one where you're like, really? That if you're a fan, you're just like watching. You're like, that's how this is going to be. Mm-hmm. We're going to tip a ball, and it's going to go in a direct, perfect angle to the big tight end, who just happens to be sitting right in that spot, waiting for the ball, and sees it and catches it and gets another first down. Unbelievable.
Felt like some of that old Jordan Hare magic when Auburn was rolling, before Hugh Freeze ever came to town.
Yeah, and I will say I legit didn't know the kid was a lefty until he came in the game. So, I mean, I knew who he was, but I didn't realize he was left-handed.
Got some zip, man.
Oh gosh, yes, he's impressive.
Get Simmons tossing on the inside here, a little inside slant.
And I used this word in the offensive video. I'm going to use this word again in this one. This was pathetic effort. He is, by the way. So here, 5-man pressure again. So you bring the backer. You got your games there. You're bringing somebody around. You're playing man with a single high safety on 3rd and 11, by the way, behind it. And Harris is over there in press man. And the DB gives him one move and goes inside. Fine. That was okay. He got flat-footed, got beat instantly. And then he makes it to where he goes in a little more, and he just kind of jogs behind him. And guess what? If I'm a coach and I'm watching this, I'm infuriated, because what does the receiver do here? Bobbles the ball. If you're at his hip and knocking the ball down, like, this is an underrated play of the game. This and the next third down throw he has.
I mean, CJ Allen almost gets there in time to do the same thing.
Right. And they're not going to, if they get 5 yards, right, catch and hit, and they get 5, they might go for it, but maybe not. But good gosh, it was hard to watch. I mean, and then it sets up 4th down where they say, hey, let's put a receiver in the backfield. That usually means something, motion him out. And you go 5-man pressure, man coverage, same call, and what you think is your best defensive player gets
How
beat.
bold is that to we're going to go one-on-one with one of the nation's
I mean, maybe you don't
premier-
necessarily think it's going to be him, but you think, hey, I'm going to probably get man-to-man on someone. And, yeah, it ends up being Starks, and kid makes a move. And, by the way, the thing with the QB, the accuracy, insane, crazy good, just coming off the bench cold like he did. Very impressive accuracy.
It made me think that for quite a while, Ole Miss is going to be contending in games because
well, if you have, I mean, if he's really good like that, and by the way, you know, we're just seeing that little bit, and you never know over a long period of time, all that sort of stuff. But you see ability, you instantly can see ability, especially at that position.
Hey,
and he's got it.
You are so wise to caution me because I saw DJ Uiagalelei play a fantastic game against Notre Dame in relief of Trevor Lawrence.
Hey, you weren't the only one that watched that guy and thought he's a future first-round pick, how he played it against Notre Dame.
I bought in, and now he's getting whatever NIL's left at Florida State.
Now he should be a defensive lineman like his brother.
Yeah. I mean, this just feels like it's too easy. And I get, man, one-on-one in open field's hard to cover.
And that's interesting that you say that because multiple people have said this to me, and we've discussed it too. Is there anything that feels easy for Georgia's offense? Fair. Not really. This is 4th and 1, and this is easy. By the way, good pass pro, clean pocket, just a little flick of the wrist, boom, first down. Now, this throw, holy cow. I don't know.
Before the throw, he corrals an insanely high snap here and keeps it in rhythm.
So I wrote down a question in my notes here. Have you seen Beck make a throw this good in zone coverage this season?
No.
I was thinking about in terms of layering throw and putting a ball where only your guy can catch it, and he is triangled out, and he just puts it into the open space and allows the receiver to make a play. You just coming in as a backup like that, and as he's a redshirt freshman, I think, right? Maybe.
Yeah,
redshirt freshman. Messed it. That's unreal. I was like him thinking back against Kentucky, the throw he made to Rosemary Jackson, where he layered that one in stride. But that's just really good. Really stinking good.
Lane Kiffin said in the postgame news conference it was important to him to just run the same offense with the backup quarterback, which it sounds easy, and that's what you should do. But they came out. If you remember the first play, they did the little naked bootleg, and he throws a little. I was going to say throws a dart toward the sideline for a completion, but I didn't intend to want to say dart there.
Yeah, it was. It was a laser right on the sideline to Juice Wells, who created like 8 yards of separation off of
But
Everett.
that
so
had
one
to
other
jack
thing,
up his confidence from the beginning, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, and one other thing, by the way, I don't think he's able to do this and make this throw like this if he's not left-handed. If he's right-handed, that's to put that ball right there. I think Cole sees it and maybe gets in the lane a little more so because the ball's got to come from this side and there's just more time. Coming from the left side to where he puts it, I think that makes it even not necessarily easier, but it allows him to do that.
Oh, you're giving me some comparisons here to Rafael Nadal serving at the French Open with a lefty.
I know. I'm sure Georgia fans had some like serious PTSD there with the number 13 left-handed quarterback coming into the game and just dicing you up like that. That was, well, my kids said it to me. So I knew if my kids are saying it, then that's, they're like, hey, it's like Tua coming into the game. But yeah, it is what it is. But that
around the country.
That drive, by the way, when all of that momentum is in Georgia's favor, that's an insane. And I think I even saw it on the Ole Miss board. Like that guy, they need a statue for the guy or something like that somebody said on the board. Like, yes, that was an amazing drive because it was throwing, which, by the way, if you notice most of those throws other than the last two we thrown, you're going to see a lot of a theme moving forward with the rest of these throws.
That drive
first and 10.
That drive may have put them in the college football playoff. We'll see. Not on its own, but it at least keeps the hope alive. Dart comes back in after heavily taping up that left ankle, which it didn't seem like it bothered him very much after that because he ran for 50 yards.
Yeah, but all right, what did they do? What did Ole Miss do in this game? They said, all right, we're going to spread you out. We're going to throw the ball quick, and we're going to throw the ball in the middle field. If you look at deep targets in this game, he had, I think there were 2 over 20-yard targets. And we had talked about in the preview, hey, got to stop the deep ball. It's like almost a quarter of what they do. And you look at the game against Arkansas, it's just shot after shot after shot. And obviously it was Arkansas helped that and made it easier for them to do more of it. But yes, this is quick. And this is one where Jalen Walker is an inside backer. Like, it's a spread formation. It's empty. There's no threat. Yes, he's got to sort of sit there in his zone, but he's just late to react when that's the nearest receiving threat. I feel like he should have been like at least offered a little more resistance there. He doesn't see it a lot in coverage, at least not see it very quickly. He's looking at Dart as opposed to sort of seeing the awareness of what's going on, the formation, and what might happen around him.
Similar situation here. Going empty.
1st and 10 for theme. We're going to run play action. We're going to get your eyes going one way. We're going to throw right behind the other way. Put your linebackers in coverage.
Just
Rescoring being
all that 11 has to process here. Boom, boom,
yep.
Done.
And that's why we've always talked about him. Like, he's let's get north south. Let's go after the ball. It's not his strength to be in that situation.
Offensively, game plan wise, it was getting the matchups against the skill guys for Ole Miss, getting the matchups against linebackers, or we'll get one to Aguero here in a minute. They just did a really good job of getting the guys they wanted on the guys they wanted.
Yep, and I had tweeted this like at halftime. Like, I think they needed to treat 1st and 10 like 3rd down, and just come after them. And if they run it, so be it. So be it, because that it was clear from the get go. They're like, hey, we don't need to run it. We can't, and they couldn't. So yeah, they threw it consistently. I think it was of the first 18 plays on 1st and 10 that weren't like, say, inside the 10-yard line or right at the goal line. It was like 15 passes. Like, they just said, hey, all right, you're going to play run, fine, play run, we'll throw it.
2nd and short here. Most people would run the ball here. Ole Miss.
This is their call beats your call. You bring a 5-man pressure from the corner. I think from one of the slot corner. Is that Aguero that's coming off the slot? And then you rotate back into some level of the one that in terms of question with this, I would wonder Starks more so than I'd wonder CJ Allen, because you've also got a safety there. But their call just beats your call. Because with that type of pressure, and with Chaz walked off like he is on the far left screen to the defense's right, I don't know that you actually have anyone to account for the running back.
Yeah,
and it's one of those things where maybe you're thinking, hey, they're going to stay in and block, but you offer nothing to get that, and they're just like, okay, sure, we'll take it.
And this ball,
and you don't get to him in time.
A little over 2 seconds. Say you brought the pressure. They get it out in 2 seconds like this. It's hard.
Yep.
Oh, this is Pegues. We previewed this so hard on Filmed On our preview of Ole Miss, and we even said this guy's way more athletic than you think. He has ball skills. He's been a ball carrier. He was a tight end at Auburn, and you saw it here. Get the snap.
Dude should have scored. Like, he almost would have scored or it would have been maybe definitely a 10+ yard gain. Another thing, again, with Michael crashing right there, I wonder why 11 isn't right off his hind end in a way and scraping right to the out. Like, why is he not like right there, filling right there, given all the congestion in the middle and the way Michael attacked that inside like that? But I thought it was funny that they did show the graphic on TV where we talked about he had 11 carries, 6 were touchdowns, the other 5 were first downs.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were Ole Miss, like every youth football coach in the country would have been like, okay, we're going to do this until we score, until they stop it. either or, because I think they could have, and they ended up getting a field goal in this drive. I would have done it until they stopped it.
Mark my words on this, Brent. If Ole Miss makes it to the college football playoff, which percentages went way up, I mean, they would have been out had Georgia found a way to win. This, I don't know that anybody's going to answer for it.
Not in a short yardage situation.
Yeah, to get 1 or 2. I'm not saying get 6 out of it.
Yeah,
but 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, because I also know there's more they can do out of this.
Oh yeah, probably pop pass in there somewhere if he's got those kind of skills.
Can he throw it? I don't know, but man, like it's just good on Lane Kiffin. And the guy's from Oxford too. It's such a good story.
Yep.
I like seeing what they've done with him, and it reminds me a lot of Georgia's jumbo situation. But Georgia would only do it at the goal line. They'll do this anywhere.
Yep. This one was another one of those. Oh gosh, like you got them backed up, and it's close to the halftime. And here's what's maddening about this. Same thing again. You go 2-man here, 4-man. You bring the front 4. You go man to man because it's a 2-by-2 formation. Now, what you can't see here at the bottom of the screen is Everett is a little off of the receiver. He's not pressed up like Humphrey is at the top of the screen, or Harris, one of them. And all right, so run it back a little bit. Right about as soon as we can see that right there. Okay, stop. So what happened is that receiver in the slot goes vertical. And Everett, for some reason, even though there's a safety behind, like I think it's Dan Jackson's behind him, he takes a step back like, instead of staying with Watkins. And boom, right in front of him, the space is created, first down. And then the next play is even bigger. I mean, I'd say there's some green grass to throw to right there.
I mean,
spread you out and hit you in the middle of the field. And this is what's like Tennessee kind of does this. They do it at different angles, but this is kind of what they do and what they want to do. And it's one where – go ahead.
If you can get C.J. Allen down the field 15 yards in a situation against skill guys, you like your chances.
And they went tempo here, and what happened you don't see. So I think is this empty? Yeah. So they go empty. Pause it. To the far left of the screen, the defense is far right. It's Damon Wilson in coverage. That you can see with the white socks over here. That's Damon Wilson. And then you got C.J. Allen kind of covering that much space, and he's not, to me, I would be drifting back. It was interesting to see how they played their star position, Aguero, in some of this field versus boundary, like the way they did this here. I mean, that's who knows, but
this is also foreshadowing because we have Damon Wilson over there again here in just a little bit.
Yeah, but yeah,
I believe this is the next play.
Create the space and go attack it.
Okay, not the next play here.
But again, what's the theme? It's 1st and 10, and they're just straight dropping back, and you don't get pressure because you've got your main sort of run defenders and run defense in a way there. And this is something I think that you really got to think about when it comes to Tennessee is 8 being out wide in coverage. It's not his strength. His strength is in the box. His strength is close to the line of scrimmage. And that's we'll see how that goes from a matchup standpoint against Tennessee. But 2 catches on 4 targets for 34 yards against Aguero in coverage, and that was so. For me, when I think, okay, hey, play 1st and 10 like it's 3rd down. I'd love to see Jalen Walker and Damon Wilson, or Jalen Walker and Michael Williams at edge, and Starks at the star. And they did that later about the midway through the 3rd quarter. And the first time they did it at the end of the half, and then they did it midway through the 3rd quarter. Because, see, this was the first drive of the second half. So after this drive, they finally put Starks at star consistently. And I think they got to maybe give up 1 first down, but they at least forced a punt after that.
Just because I know Georgia fans are watching, yes, I will acknowledge this probably should have been a holding call here. A lot of holdings call could happen. Wasn't wasn't a difference in a game.
No, definitely not.
This, I believe, is when we have Damon Wilson in
Yep.
coverage.
So what's in terms of questions for this? So again, you bring your sort of simulated, or you bring up backer, other guy drops off, you bring 4, and it looks like you're playing a quarters type look, or at least or a cover 6 where it's quarter, half to the field. So the thing I don't understand here is I don't understand why Everett's drifting into the middle of the field with the safety, where the safety's right there. So if you look at this right before this is thrown, because this is Dayne Wilson obviously is in off to that other side because Aguero. Look at Aguero, who's kind of playing that jack position with the way they flipped that. Right pause right there. See Everett at the top of the screen, right underneath the sky cask, working with the receiver towards a safety like that. There's legit no one there because Wilson's not going to drift back and play at quarter of the field. It's never going to happen. So that's one where, again, their call beats your call, and they out-executed you, and they did it on early downs, and consistently on early downs created explosives.
One note just about Dart's accuracy here. A lot of times, if something like this, especially if it's more open than you ever practice it being, you can throw the receiver out of bounds there. Like just the momentum of the receiver takes him there. This is kind of dropped in a spot to be able to catch and turn up field, and little stuff like that does make a difference.
So let's look at in the game, Ole Miss had 18 completions. 15 of those completions went for a first down, and 1 went for a touchdown.
Whew.
That's literally that's almost every completion giving them a first down. That can't happen. That's them owning you.
And this throw, my God.
Well, you get Stark slips. And this is, by the way, this is the odd mirror defense that we talked about against Texas. You see the 3-man rush with Walker spying, and then you've got 2 safeties and man coverage everywhere else, and he's in man, and he just slips. And KJ Bolton turns his head. McElroy, I think, was he the one on the call in this game?
Yeah, it was McElroy and McDonough.
Yeah, did a great job of describing how, hey, as the QB, and as soon as that guy turns his head, I know I can just throw it right over top of it because he's not going to see the ball.
Yeah,
and he did it, and he put the ball exactly where it needed to be, and they made a play, and for all intents and purposes, ended the game.
What I was so impressed by, though, is how quick it goes from not a throw, recognition, boom, go.
Yes.
That's such a confident quarterback there. And the ball's thrown in a spot where, again, because of the way Bolden is turned, and I mean, it's a high throw too. It's unlikely he would be able to make a play on it.
Juice Wells gets another touchdown against Georgia.
When he
was at South Carolina.
Yeah. And then we didn't see a whole lot of this with the ankle, but he's the leading rusher on the team, absent of the running back that has been injured.
This was too easy. And also very I can't understand. Like, watch the rush. Both backers and 2 other guys, 4 players, basically end up in the same spot. Like, they're in unison right there, right behind each other. And that's I'm looking for a type of a call, and I make a call based upon that, and then they completely do the other thing. And then, by the way, if you're going to do that, I would assume your edge defender on the backside can't go inside because you just gave him that. That's way too easy. Ingram Dawkins. Like, the combination of that was just open, parting of you can't say really parting of the Red Sea, but you can just say it all went to one side instead of each way. But yeah, that was that to me, 18 completions, 15 were first downs, 1 touchdown. That's the game. Like, you offered no resistance to the throwing game, and they did it on early downs and just dominated you.
Dominant on offense, dominant on defense. I was surprised at how good Ole Miss played in this game on the line of scrimmage. Dart being able to get the ball out quickly, receivers making the catches. They didn't have much of a running attack. Georgia shut that down. But the offensive line for Ole Miss played as good as I've seen all year. They're not an elite unit throughout the country, or at least had not put
one
that
of the lowest rated units in the country.
Right. But they played the game of the year for them. Combine that with what the defensive line did on the other side for Ole Miss, just dictating the pace of play essentially the entire game. Yeah, Ole Miss dominated Georgia on the line of scrimmage, and that
Five
hasn't
of
happened
30,
often.
5 of 32 dropbacks. Georgia got pressure, and obviously one of those was the first drive interception.
You know what helps me when I'm feeling pressure, Brent? A little ASW Distillery Hunker bourbon takes the edge off a little bit. Whether you're, trying to deal with the wounds of a disappointment, as many of you are, or maybe you're just getting excited that playoffs really begin for Georgia with Tennessee, and so Athens is going to be rocking. You're going to be at your tailgate all day long, whether it's at home or near Sanford Stadium on campus. You need to have the Hunker bourbon from ASW Distillery. It is new this year, and anytime that or the Hunker vodka is purchased, proceeds of that go to Classic City Collective to help with Georgia's NIL efforts. ASW Distillery is distilled by dogs. 5 of the 6 founders are UGA grads. So when you buy their spirits, you're supporting the people who support Georgia and support UGAsports.com. Same can be said for Oconee Gold barbecue sauce. You need to go use the promo code Film Don't Lie and get 20% off, and that can be the flavor of your tailgate to go with your bourbon and your vodka, your Hunker bourbon and vodka from ASW. And then also, I'm starting to see some critters move around here as weather changes. Some things I don't like getting near my basement, Brent. So Breda Pest Management, I'm going to get them out here, and they protect Sanford Stadium, so they can protect my house too. BredaPest.com. Final thoughts from Georgia Ole Miss. We've talked about offense in another video. We've talked about defense now. This is not Georgia's identity as a team. This is as bad of a game as we've seen from Georgia in a long time. I don't think we'll see something like this against Tennessee.
Though?
You think so?
It? Well, it's one of those games where every little thing you've discussed all season long came to fruition. Anyway, except for the turnovers, really, they happen late as you're trying to come back. 4th down interception and the fumbles, but I think the big fumble from Frazier, that was probably the one turnover, but you still turned the ball over. In the totality of the game, you turned the ball over a bunch. That's who they've been. In terms of offensive tackle struggles, that's who they've been.
But what's the last game that you can point to and say that Georgia got whipped on both lines of scrimmage?
No, I can't even recall any game like that.
Now,
you think back to some of those losses, Alabama in the SEC championship game in 21. That was the speed on the outside and Bryce Young being awesome. That wasn't physical domination.
Last year's SEC championship,
yes.
Yeah. I thought offensive line for Bama dictated that game.
Yes, I agree. I would, but yeah, that was a beatdown.
So that's why it feels like the outlier to me. If Georgia comes out and plays that way again against Tennessee, then I think you have a whole lot of systematic questions of what happened to Georgia.
Then you got to make sure you don't have anarchy in your locker room, basically.
Well, we're about to find out how that goes. When you lose a game like this, all the little things that could fester, either you come together as a team or you grow apart, and we're going to find out what Georgia does, and we'll document it the whole way here on Film Don't Lie from UGAsports.com. If this is your first time watching us, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page. We're the most popular YouTube platform out there that covers the Georgia Bulldogs. We have a ton of action over on Facebook. I just don't know if it's tops among everybody. I need to get more competitive and go see what other folks have. But
I know 250,000 people watch the postgame show on Facebook.
That's a lot of folks. And we like hearing those opinions. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Film Don't Lie from UGAsports.com.